Welcome to the StreetText Mastermind. We do have some exciting news today. You're going to have a mixed group of people here. You're going to have some people that are just checking StreetText out, and some of you that have been with StreetText for years. But one thing's for sure, you're all looking to generate leads and build your business. So the key is to kind of look at StreetText as a fire hose. There's multiple moving pieces. There's the lead generation piece. There's the automations piece. There's the, scripts and strategies and integrations, and there's a lot, right? As we start figuring out, when you start experiencing StreetText, is that there's a lot of different things to do and learn. And so I like to kind of break it down into 1 week at a time, really go after it in terms of, hey, what do we really need to focus on today? Is it lead generation, or maybe it's lead conversion? And what about the integrations? Because you all have your own CRMs, you all have your own pieces. Everybody is unique in their personality and the way they actually talk to people. So it's all about trying to figure out when these leads are coming in, and oftentimes they come in fast, especially when you tap into a split test or a good performing ad. How do you get them to meet you? How do you get them to see that you're coming from contribution, that there's no obligation attached to this? It's your way of giving back. And a lot of that has to do with kind of just thinking about, hey, this is the top of the funnel. This is interruption-based marketing at its best. This is people that are just scrolling down their Facebook newsfeed every single day. Who knows why and how long? Studies show an hour or more a day, maybe even more now because of COVID. So the moment they click on something, whether it's a list of properties, whether it's, hey, I want to know my home value, you get to narrate that experience on the other side of it. You get to create something that allows them to feel they can connect with another human being. Or on the opposite side, you're going to find quickly that you're going to see like, hey, well, why are they not replying to me? Why are they saying, who's this? Things like this. Why are they saying, oh, I was just curious, and or, a million other answers, or nothing at all. And so that's the ticket for everybody is, yes, it's a healthy understanding of generating a bunch of leads, but let's not just generate leads to do, we want to build our pipelines, but how do we create influence in our pipelines, and how we do it such a way to nurture them and make them feel like we're coming from that place, even if they aren't really ready to sell it anytime soon. And that'll naturally come to the surface. And the exciting thing is we have plenty of people that are doing just that and have done it well through their own experimentation. One particularly is on here right now. Her name's Jennifer Salter. Everybody who's, knows Jennifer knows that she's got her own unique style. And we got some exciting news for you. Troy's been working diligently to with Jennifer herself to create a course that will be released. Wait for it. Troy, when's that being released? Wait for him to unmute himself.
Tomorrow.
Tomorrow, yes. So, there's going to be a webinar tomorrow on that too. And that's going to be at 11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, 2 p.m. Eastern. But we're going to just drop a little bit of what you get to have in store for today. And Troy, well, I'll just kind of give it to you because you probably have a little bit more insight. You've been working so closely into that. Why don't you tell us a little bit about what we're going to go over today that's going to help kind of cascade them into that direction with Jennifer's course?
Well, today we were kind of wanted to open up a little bit more into a 90-day kind of checklist roadmap for you guys. So we got a little document we're going to share with you. It's going to lead to something a lot more robust, but it's kind of taking a look at a little bit of Jennifer's stuff and what she's kind of done. And when her course comes out, you'll actually see her process. You're going to see some of her emails. You're going to see some of her videos, how she kind of puts those together. And really, it's when we look at things, when we're looking at like a 3-month, 90-day kind of working towards success, there's some things you kind of just want to check in on, right? You want to check in on like, how are you doing with your emails? How are you doing with your video? There's all these little things to consider and layer into your follow-up, right? So follow-up doesn't become like the thing that out of the gate you have that's just perfect. You got like every little piece in there. You've got the perfect video, you got the perfect wording in your email and all sorts of little things, right? You got to start somewhere. And sometimes it can be overwhelming, right? You're like, you might be questioning, you might be 2 months into StreetText and you haven't had a whole lot of reply. So you're starting to wonder if this is even working. So it's kind of, when you're looking through that 90 days, reviewing a checklist and kind of just checking in, and you're like, how's the health of my ads? How's the health of my emails? Are people opening them? Who's opening them? Why are they opening it? Can I check a subject line? Can I, should I, if I'm not using video, should I consider video? Right? And what does that even look like? All these little kind of things that are in there. So that's kind of where we're using this little checklist to kind of help you guys kind of brainstorm those things, maybe generate some questions for you. And then we can open it up in here and go with like, okay, what is working? And in what has evolved for you? What have you changed over the course of a 90-day kind of run, as far as when you're looking at your follow-up? And what would you do? What would you even do at the end of 90 days? So, you've been running, you joined StreetText, and some of you guys have been here for longer than 90 days. So you can expand that out to a year if you want. But, if you're sitting here and you're going, okay, I started StreetText, I've been with 90 days. So where am I at? Like, it's kind of like this self-reflection, self-check-in, and that sort of thing. So that's kind of what we're leading towards here. And we're going to share this document with you. I think Shay has it. And if he wants to do that, we can share that and even go through it.
Perfect. And just a quick announcement. Make sure you're in the StreetText Insider group, specifically in the announcement section on the daily. Okay. I always try, and Troy and the rest of the team try to pin things that are relevant to your success. And whether we find a cool example like Melissa Porter the other day, or somebody who's come up with a cool script, a way of landing listing appointments, you want to check in, you want to check it out. Of course, we have other trainings other than the Mastermind itself. We have a conversion workshop where my internet went down yesterday. That was embarrassing. And we have an ad review class that's today at 11 a.m., I believe, where you can come and review your ads. We have a custom ads class Tuesdays with Logan at 1 p.m., 4 p.m. Eastern. And yeah, among other stuff, StreetText Academy course that is always being updated. And so there's always resources for you to kind of win, and definitely use the search feature from within the StreetText Insider group. There is now hashtags just to the right-hand side where you can actually click on a hashtag and it'll take you right into all the different subjects there. So whether it's address onlys, whether it's, scripts and video, emails, or you name it, integrations like HomeBot, follow-up boss, questions. There's so many ways to kind of look into this and get a little bit deeper if you're willing to dig a little bit. So just know that most people in this group, I don't know somebody that they'll be kicked out if they're not, but everybody's coming from contribution. Everyone's sharing. There's so much love in this group. I think that's what makes StreetText such a unique community. So yeah, take it away there, Troy.
Yeah, I mean, so Shay's actually going to post this in the chat soon, the 90-day checklist that we've kind of created for you guys, and we can go through that. And I'm just going to bring it up here, but I really do want to open it up to you guys because this is your mastermind. We've got we're trying to prepare all these like resources for you, and it's really based off of what you guys are all out there doing, right? So for some of you, like I know Jennifer, you could probably even talk a little bit to this. What do you do that is kind of a check-in for yourself? Like how are you doing like a self-reflection and a check-in on what you're doing?
As far as on the daily, like my daily schedule?
It could be daily schedule. It could be 1 month. It's, what would be something that you would reflect on when you're reviewing the health of your follow-up and your marketing?
Well, I think part of that is like that calendar that I use, and it's a schedule. It's not really rigid, but one of them is where you go back and you critique your existing emails. So sometimes like I'll go back if I have extra time during the day and I'm following through with leads, I'll look to see the percentage of open rates for certain emails. And if I notice that like I'm not getting where I want, I go back and I tweak subject lines, or I go back and update a video that looks outdated. Maybe it was like definitely a summertime video and it's winter. So I think the self-reflection for me is more continuing to go through the funnels. And as new ideas go in Mastermind, like literally, Troy, we just finished the course, right? And I just messaged him last night. He's probably really sick of me. And I'm like, I changed my email for day like 2. Can you fix it for me? Because I'm constantly updating. Like every week I go back and tweak something. So I think that's the big thing, is just constantly growing and adding and tweaking, because what works for you one month, it'll stop working, and you just have to kind of evolve with it.
That makes sense. Jennifer, for people that are like, I've been doing this, how long do you usually give them from a time frame, and how are you measuring success? Is it through a listing appointment? Like, what do you measure in these first 90 days that really help you drive you in the right direction? So for people are kind of wondering when their first deal is going to happen.
Yeah, that's a tricky question, but I'll just be honest with you. I don't know how many of you have tried other lead services, but I really tried them all. Like I was with 4 to 6 other companies before StreetText. And, it's funny because we're going to get leads that are going to be just curious and really not interested, or they just click on something because it looks nice. They're not interested at all. But what I consider a win is anyone that I'm able to get to open these emails, or I'm able to connect with on Facebook. Here's the way I look at it. I just last week had someone who told me straight up, I was just curious. I'm never selling. I'm in this house until I die. Well, I still added that person on Facebook and made them part of my friend list. And we just kept in touch just, throughout the months. And she actually referred me to someone else who was talking about selling. And she said, oh, I know someone that will do a free valuation for you. So for me, that's a win. But I think it's important to remember, we're dealing with leads that have to be nurtured. You're going to get that like sporadic person that wanted to sell like yesterday. So I really think that as long as you're plugging in different ways and not being pushy, it will come, and it'll just continue to come. So, I've been with StreetText about 19 or 20 months now. And I've had 19 closes. Well, I was having like 2 or 3 listings a month. And in the last month or 2, it's been kind of quiet, but it's starting to ramp up. I have people wanting me to come over, setting appointments, talking about buying. So I think it'll just come all at once, like a snowball effect, and you just got to keep at it.
When you say keep at it, I'm curious, because I don't know, everybody has got a different definition about keeping at it. Is it allowing the automations to keep at it? Is it, how do you look at your leads? I know you're going to go over this in a webinar, but I'm always curious. How do you look at your leads from 3 months ago, from 6 months ago, from a year ago, since you've been with us for 20 months, or even from 20 months ago? How do you keep at it?
Well, yeah, you're right. We'll cover this, but I will say time, convenience, or money, right? It's one of the 3. So there's a lot of people on here. They're big time agents. They do tons of deals. They have teams, and that's awesome. One day, hopefully, I'll be to that point, or if I want to do that. And there's definitely a time issue. And so for them, they're able to spend more money, and the automations work. They work. Get an ICA to follow up with your leads. Or like myself, where I'm doing very well as a single agent, and I'm very busy, but I still choose to pay less money for my assistance and for my leads. And so it takes me more time, and it's less convenient. So it really depends on how you're going at it. So for me, to answer your question, Marcus, I have the automation set, right, for like 3 or 6 months, right? But once that's done and there's nothing there, I have a system where every day I spend a little time starting at the end of my leads and personally touching. I'll look and say, okay, let me go to page 45 of my leads. And then I'll go ahead and I'll call one of the people that, I haven't spoken with, or I'll send them a message, or I'll send them an email. It's not as convenient because I'm having to do it one-on-one. So it's really just a decision, Marcus. Like, you have to decide if you want more time, convenience, or money. So either way will work. Automations will work. You're just going to be wasting more leads. You'll spend more money, but you'll get the results. It's just a choice.
100%. You want me to pull up that 90-day checklist there, Troy?
Yeah, sure. So there's two things that you kind of said in there, in Jennifer, that I really want to like kind of jump on. So the fact that somebody who was not interested in selling their home, you know, that they're going to live there till they die, ended up being a referral, right? So like always consider, and why they became a referral is because you built a relationship with them, right? You personalized things. You took things to that where it's like now there's a bit of a relationship there, that they trust you, that they can enough that they would go, hey, you know what, you should check out this realtor. She's, you know, XYZ. So that's so vitally important, because we never know what, like that lead might come in and it's just curious or not interested or whatever. And a lot of us will go, oh, well, that's it. That's, you know, a dud, right? But that dud can turn into, you never know how much other stuff trickles down on that, right? So you never know. So it's always good to like make sure that that first initial contact with them, however you do that, build that relationship, know, like, and trust, as we always say. And then the other thing too is StreetText has like, you know, the 9-month drip campaign built in there, but it doesn't have to end at 9 months. You guys all can go in there and you can edit the automations. You can add more emails in there. You can extend that past 9 months. You could put like a, you know, a 12-month email in there, and then a 15-month, and you can extend it to out to 3 years if you wanted to, right? So it doesn't have to be like, oh, at 9 months it stops. Now I have to like manually follow up with these. You can still extend that automation and have it in there running. So it's just a matter of, you know, putting on a creative hat and going, okay, at 12 months, what kind of email do I want to go out to them, right? So it might be, hey, are you interested in a home reevaluation, right? It's been a whole year, and I mean, we're just listing our house, and I was floored at the change in the market since we first purchased, and even just over the last year and what's happened. So I know that other people are very interested in that. So Mark, is he going to share that document?
Yeah, no, and I want to also reiterate, like if you look at Janky and you look at other people, you're going to find that the top of funnel is all about just asking questions, because many times sellers are buyers and buyers are sellers. We don't ask the questions and referrals as well. Like I've seen Janky pull so many sellers from buyers just by asking the question. So I think it's not about just simply giving them what they asked for. You got to figure out and ask the questions for them to open up and really get to the true motivation of what that click was for. And again, they're only going to do that when they feel like you're coming from an authentic, genuine place, and that you're there to serve them and not just to sell them something. So that's the key in that experience you're providing, whether you're picking up the phone, sending a text message or an email, is to make them feel that way. And I think that's why a lot of people leverage video, is because how do you do that in a text so effectively? Well, where's the body language and tonality, especially in this COVID era where people may not get a chance to meet you otherwise? That's something that you really want to consider. Okay.
That's awesome. Hey, Juan, I know you're on here. You shared in the insider group earlier this week your process. You kind of took it down. You took what you said you got from the StreetText process and you put it together. Would you be willing to share that with everyone here and kind of go through a little bit about what you're doing?
Actually, yes. I put it together simply by just listening to what you guys were saying. I would actually reach out to, like I reached out to Jennifer, I reached out to Wendy, but everybody that I kept, when I would jot down my notes, it all seemed to gear toward this process that was evading me as a newbie. And I figured since it was missing, this was something that I really needed to go ahead and focus on. And then that's when I reached out to whether it was Ira or the other realtors, and everybody has been super, super helpful and wanting to share. And then I figured, okay, well, now let's see how I can put this into sort of a format that I can, when these leads come in, I know exactly what's going to happen on day 1, day 3, day 5, day 7. And for me, it wasn't a good idea to just kind of keep it in my head. I had to visually see it someplace on paper. And someone posted sort of like this big whiteboard. And I said, that gives me an idea. If I have some kind of whiteboard that I can look at, and then that's how that was born. I went ahead and posted it like you said, and other agents were commenting on it. So already it's been updated. So I'm certainly willing to go ahead and share it with you guys on, I guess, just on that doc section of the group. Is that where you want me to post it?
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely. Because then everyone can access it too. But even now, if you, would you be willing just to kind of go through just kind of from top to bottom, just what you're doing?
Sure. Let me pull it up here, because the lead will come in, and once that lead comes in, like for instance, Julie sends that automatic text, and then I have Zap take the lead from StreetText and sends it automatically to my CRM. And what I've done is the CRM ultimately will do the texting Tuesdays, which is what somebody else had mentioned in the group as well. Then, as most of us are doing here, we go ahead and we take the that first video from BombBomb that says, "Hey, you know, I am working on the your Facebook request," and that's just like within the first and second day. And then day 2 has another series of things like the CMA, followed by a call to action. And I'm using different little things that I've heard you guys like the Calendly, I think is what you guys are calling it. So like book a meeting. So every time you send email or a video, you're requesting that they give you some kind of information back. So like Jennifer was saying, you're trying to establish some kind of communication with them, so that even though you may not get them to list their house, perhaps they know somebody who does want to list their house. So maybe that can be an ultimate goal. And then day 3, I sent out automatically an automation that says it's a Q&A. What did you not understand? Can I help you understand something? Just something to get them again to try to communicate back with me. And it just goes on. The list goes on all the way to, like somebody said, no, now you've got to go and send those address only leads. You send them postcards. So instead of doing it once a month, I decided I'm going to look at the whole list, and I'll just do it like every 5 to 7 days, so that I'm constantly, they're hearing from me, whether it's through email, through text, or through their regular mail, just to kind of keep them, keep me, my business, at the forefront of their memory.
I mean, that's incredible. That's awesome. So that's the power of you know, this group, because you know, a lot of these ideas have been shared, and then you've basically taken these you know, different strategies and put them together in one list, which is really cool. So thank you so much for doing that. It's very, very cool.
Yeah, I wanted to jump in and just kind of say, I have received 9 mailers at my house in like 2 months from real estate agents. Some of them in my garage door that actually canvassed the entire neighborhood. Some of them in my mailbox. Some of them, like one of them was actually in my car wiper windshield. So when I hear Juan talking, and I spoke with Deb today, have any of you used the deal progress button in to set up some actual steps that are your own within your account? I look at this as a dynamic marketing campaign. It's not something where you just throw stuff at like the wall and see what sticks. People are coming to you that are already sticky, and then you're focusing your efforts on somebody who's already raised their hand. So when you're putting together your 90-day plan, how do you stand out from the 9 flyers I received in the last 2 months? You make it personal. You send the Starbucks card, you send the handwritten note, you send it to someone who directly clicked on an ad in Facebook, you do the friend request, you reach out. I can't tell you a single person's name. And we're in real estate. I'm here in Kelowna. I can't tell you a single agent's name from any of those flyers. I just laugh. Like I pull another one out. I'm like, oh, another one. I think I'm at 9. I'm not even sure. It might even be 10. I was collecting them at one point and then my kids threw them in the recycling. But think of this as a dynamic campaign. And I was working with Deb this week and she was showing me in her account that she's actually gone in and used that deal progress setting and she has changed it. She's gone in and put her own process where the lead comes in and she clicks, sent them a mailer. Day 3, sent them a CMA. Day 4, sent. So she's tracking each of those people and dynamically working. And it's kind of like a choose your own adventure too, where you hit a certain point with a person, like Jennifer was like, okay, this person's told me no. I'm just going to now fall over into relationship is everything and just get to know her as somebody in my community and put her in that bucket and see where it goes. So it's like every time you hit a wall with someone in terms of a response, then it's like, okay, they're going to go in this bucket and they're going to go in this bucket. And it's this long-term process. Like Jennifer said, the key word she used was a decision that the leads are worth the follow-up and that personalization. How do you stand out right now? Make it personal. Okay, the 9 flyers in my recycling bin just aren't resonant. And really it's a waste because I know all of the houses in the neighborhood who that flyer doesn't apply to. It's not personal. It's just going to end up in the recycling bin. You're spending the money in hopes to land on someone. But here we have a list of people that have been coming to us month after month that have had interests. They had motivations. That's the key.
Yeah, I'll add to that because I think, even small scripts like this, free CMA, no obligation, just giving back. I mean, you don't even have to have a video in there, but that, if you read this from Melissa Porter, she got 3 appointments set for the weekend when I asked her about this. And she's going to go throw in some video into it, but she's just basically saying, hey, Marcus, Melissa here with ProProperties.com. Do you mind sending me a few interior pics so I can get a more exact evaluation? Please know that I'm a small business owner that puts her clients' needs over numbers. There's no obligation in my free CMA. I'm just giving back. You can text pics to this number. Some capitals in there, free CMA, no obligation, just giving back. I mean, the subject line in itself is something that you could either use personally or even automate. You know what I mean? Like that can be an automation that goes out on day 2. Really, you can add that into your sequence and I think crush it. I mean, so a lot of different things kind of circulating in this group that you can pick up on and, replicate it and put it into your business. Go ahead, Michelle.
I have a question. Since there's so many people on the call today, I don't want to sound like a broken record, but I'd like to ask about everybody's open rate and delivered versus open rate. I have so many, I have a 39% open rate, and I would have to go back through every single one, copy paste the original StreetText email, upon submission to each and every one through my Gmail to get it to them, because it gets delivered, it never gets opened. And I have so many that I'm losing some. And I didn't know if anybody else had the problem. It's just me. I feel like I'm always kind of complaining about it. But is any other input other than just physically doing the copying and pasting for each one? Because I get a lot of them.
Michelle, I wanted just to ask you a question because I was curious about this. When you send your valuation back to them, do you use BombBomb? Like, how are you sending it to them?
I send it through my Gmail, and I don't have a video attached. I just have the letter, that you guys posted, and I put, more than likely your home would sell for in this range. And then I'll go back after that, maybe in another week, and send them a BombBomb HomeBot thing, CMA. But it's the initial email from StreetText. that gets delivered and never, well, 39% gets open, which I don't think is high, but everybody thinks that's high.
Well, I don't know what everyone else is doing, and I am curious, but just so you know, like when I track my open, because I send my valuation through BombBomb, it has a video, but I mean, mostly it just has the numbers. I change the numbers each time. I make sure that's open to 100%, because the way I look at it is they ask for something, right? They get a thank you message. And yes, I think the funnels are important and I've worked on it, but honestly, my big thing is I want them to open that valuation, because once I see they open it, I'll send them right away a next steps video. And if they don't open the automations, they don't open it. But if I notice as a whole that only 20% or 30% is opening that first video, I tweak the subject and I give it a week, and it does help. But for me, it's like, honestly, and this is just me and my experience, right? I love BombBomb. I don't think people are watching the video the whole way through. And I'm okay with that, because for me, they're still seeing that 5-minute personality. And I'm like, that's the whole goal. I want them to see me. So for me, I wouldn't concentrate on that. And honestly, Michelle, because if you're frustrated with that, I would try BombBomb. I think it would be worth it to track that open rate, because I'm telling you, if you looked in my BombBomb dashboard right now, it's 100%, because I will resend that email with different subjects. So they're not like, why is this chick sending the same thing? Because honestly, after a day, they don't even remember me. So I make sure it's open that way. And I think that'll kind of help your frustration with that.
Okay. So the BombBomb is where how do you send the automatic email, the first submission automatic email? Is that through BombBomb as well? And is it automated? Does it just go?
Mine is through StreetText, and that's the one you're saying is only 39% open, right? Where it's like, hey, thanks, I got your valuation, I'm working on it. Right. I don't care if they open it. That's just me. No, that's wrong. No. I do care if they open it, but my main concern is the valuation. And over time, if I notice that first video is not really getting open, then I can tweak it and then I can test it, but I don't have to look every day and resend. To me, it's about the valuation.
Okay. So on my BombBomb emails, the only ones that get really opened or sort of delivered are the ones I send in the form. Like if I just send it through the email, it's got to be through the BombBomb form. Do you notice that? Like the BombBomb email form, send it through us or send it through your email. If I copy if I copy my video and paste it in my email, it doesn't get open like if you send it through their form.
Right. I've noticed the same.
Okay. Okay.
Michelle, if you use BombBomb, it gives you the ability not only to send and track, but you can also resend. And I sense part of your frustration is having to double back, copy and paste with whatever you're first shooting out there. If you shoot your first video or your first and second videos through BombBomb, you're able to track those, and you're also able to resend. So that may mitigate some of your frustration.
I know. I just like to get a very quick burst, boom, I want to respond immediately. And that's what doesn't happen. It gets delivered. I don't know where it ends up, but I would just like to have that automated thing work, but it's fine.
Well, that's easy enough to set up either through StreetText or your CRM, where it automatically shoots out as a response once the lead comes in to StreetText.
Yes, I am working on doing it through my CRM. I think that might be better. And then, and I do track through BombBomb, but it's, it gets overwhelming sometimes. You have to pause your leads because you're got so many going on. But
that's a good thing.
Yeah, it is a good thing. Thank you, Jennifer.
So one quick thing, Michelle, is that when the emails send out, two things are going to increase your open rate. So your subject line will increase your open rate. So, play with that, because you can see you'll be able to increase it from 39% to something else. It's how soon they know it's relevant to them. So if their property address is in there, something like that, it can drive that open rate. The second thing to remember is that the open rate only ever tracks if they load images, because a 1x1 pixel is included in the email. That's how open rates are tracked. And that's also why when you send it from BombBomb, it's going to be different than when you send it through your Gmail, because that pixel is going to be included or not included. So you're working, you're going to get a different open rate, even if the email actually is being opened. So those, that makes a big difference. So there's a lot of people out there who have email, like images just by default turned off in the email browser. So that 39% is actually going to be higher than 39%. What you may want to do in your email is include just a real short, hey, can you reply, got it? You know, just a real short, just because then you start to get some responses back, and then you can say, okay, yeah, I see that the open rate wasn't open, but I actually got a reply, so I know that they did actually get it in their inbox. And then, yeah, and then the last tip is that there's I forget if it was Leon or someone shared someone that they hire, I think not very expensive, like it's like $10 or $20, and they audit the way that their email is set up through their Gmail and everything else, and that increased their deliverability rate. Because if you're sending email, the way it works is that we use, we've designed our system to be as, to basically have the best deliverability rates we can get. But then they still need to know that the email address that it's sending from, which is yours, matches the server settings that you have on your end. And so we're doing our best job, but you can actually, there's a guy, I think he can tweak those things. So basically it'll make sure that the IP address is tracked in your server. And so then it increases that open rate, because then the browsers or the email clients will just say, oh yeah, this is trusted. This is trusted. So I can.
Yeah, my Gmail is no problem. I've had it checked. It's the StreetText one. Okay, yeah.
So it's, so those are the 3 tips really, is just subject line, first sentence, ask a question, and then, yeah, if you haven't already, have it audited, have your email audited, but it sounds like you have.
Yeah, I have. Okay, thank you.
I was going to add to that. I would actually can that email, just like Jennifer does. I'd can that in my Chrome extension too, as part of if you're using BombBomb. It automatically attaches tracking to it. I've got about 6 or 7 cans in there. I know exactly when they're open, when they're watched, when things are clicked on. And then I'd also have something to shoot out maybe 5 to 10 minutes later if you're sending that, just to make sure you got it. Donna Swansea used to do that all the time and get really good success. So a second email says, hey, just want to make sure you got it, right? And some people were like, I don't see it. And then all of a sudden they'd be pointed to opening their filters because it was landed in there, for example.
Oh, okay.
So just another thought there too.
Okay, thank you.
And if you have a text message, or someone like Julie sending out text, you could always use Julie to point back to what you want them. Especially, you can say, hey, just want to let you know we sent you the home value, check your filters. You'd go in there, use Julie to point back to what you just sent in the email.
Right.
So that's when you have a phone number, of course. You should be picking up the phone right away.
And what Jennifer's doing is really important, is that personalization of the actual CMA. That's what matters. Think about your own personal habits. I just booked an appointment with our dentist. I got a text on my phone saying that I booked the appointment, click on this to confirm. And then I got an email in my email box. I didn't open the email. I also signed up for a newsletter the other day through somebody that came, and automatically an email came. So I knew it was because I had filled out that form. I didn't open the email. So some people just know, oh, it's because I filled out that form. Not going to read that. I'll read it later. So I think that's why personalization is so important. There is so much noise in our lives right now. So how are you going to stand out from that noise? So the fact that Jennifer's like, whether they open that email, I don't know. They ask for their CMA. I don't care. I'm going to keep sending it to them and personalizing it until they open it. That's how you stand out from the 9 flyers in my mailbox. It's focusing on that personalization point. So, because I can go through my email inbox right now. I have so many unopened emails of stuff that I was once interested in and clicked on. We all have our own email pile of stuff that we don't, but I'll go back and look for things that's personal. If it keeps popping up, it keeps me top of mind. So just think about your own personal habits and how you treat your inbox, and think, how would I be on the other end of that?
So speaking of the flyers, I was thinking too that I just signed up for a 12-month postcard, automation thing. And I'm only sending them to the people that are on my list, my just curious or whatever, people that I've already sent things to, people that I've texted, people that I've sent the CMAs to. And so I don't know if that, I've got to think of something to keep them top of mind that I don't have to go in and do every 2 weeks, that it's automated. And I know a lot of people get flyers, but I'm hopeful that that will, you know, at least keep me in front of them once a month. Even though there's a lot, maybe they would recognize my picture and feel sorry for me.
And they were warm, so that was the key. You're sending it to someone who's interested, as opposed to just
yeah.
And if you're sending them those postcards every month, most agents will send one and be like, oh, well, I didn't get a response, I'm done.
Exactly.
So they'll start with your emails and everything. They'll get super familiar with you if they, oh, here's her postcard again. Oh, thanks so much.
Right. I'm hopeful. And so I just thought that would be a way, you know, because I hate thinking of things to send, you know, in addition to everything else. It's just in addition to everything else we do. It's a no-brainer. And then you can customize them. So I do put the StreetText, you know, for home valuation and all that. And their names are on there. It's not a homeowner. I've gone through and gotten all their names and put them on the database that they have. So it's a personal card to them. And of course you can customize it how you want.
But Michelle, what I'm seeing, not just with StreetText, but with overall business, is some people are visual, some people like the phone calls, some people prefer to get a text. So what we want to do as agents, we want to be able to cover all of the bases so that we can have that opportunity to touch the person that prefers the text or touch the person that prefers the email. So I think as long as we're covering all the bases, we should be good.
Right. Yes, definitely.
One thing that I do once I get somebody on the phone, one of the last questions I always ask them is, what is your preferred method of contact? Phone call, text, or email? Because then that way that makes them accountable for it, because they've told me, if you want to get a hold of me, this is how you do it.
Right.
I'd add in Facebook Messenger in there.
I don't really know how to use that well yet, but I will.
I'm sure Jennifer will touch on that a little bit.
Marcus can help you with that one.
And I was typing this, but I'll just say it. I was typing it in regards to Lisa's comment there. The thing about personalization is you're bringing yourself to the attention of the user. So it makes your automized emails get higher open rates, because they're like, oh, that's the person that sent me like a name in the mail. Like, I'm starting to recognize this person. They say it's like 8 to 9 exposures before it actually places in your brain. And a lot of us just stop at the 3 exposure rate. We get frustrated, we get overwhelmed, we feel like it's not working. So what we do is we just stop. We just stop everything, we pause, and then we go back at it again later. But like, my word for the year is consistency. I've done a lot of things over time and taken on a lot, but the one thing that we can all do better is be consistent. And that's just going to grow your business. So it's finding a few of those things that are going to personalize that 90-day kind of follow-up plan and just staying consistent with them, seeing through that course, so that when it gets to that 8th to 9th exposure, you're now somebody that they can't forget. Because like I said, 9 flyers in my mailbox, I can't tell you a single, I think maybe one of them, I know her name. And the only reason I know her name is because I've seen her billboard as I'm driving across the bridge here a couple times. So it was the exposure of seeing it a couple times. So it's really just keeping yourself top of mind in that loop. And the personalization highlights the fact, if I open an email, you have a picture of my house in it, I'm going to watch it. I know that's not automated. And if it is, it's uncanny that you have my house in there. So I'm watching it to find out if you're using my house to talk to everybody. But now you've caught my attention. Now the next email, the next flyer, the next reach out, I know your name. I'm starting to see you. I'm starting to recognize you. And that's the key, especially with this type of marketing. You're trying to catch them before the Google search. You're trying to catch them before, like, well, there's a lot of talk that's been going on in our house for the last year about listing. My mother-in-law finally listed her house and she sold it yesterday night. But it was a year worth of talking before she got there. So you're trying to get them in that talking phase and just bump yourself up to the top of mind with this type of marketing.
Hey Ira, you said about the 8 or 9 postcards, and you made a kind of a comment that, you know, it's just noise coming into your house. when we're on our side, then what do we do? I'm not a door knocker. I'm not going to do that. What do we do with these address onlys? And, you know, and there's lots of things we can go into the files and all, everybody's got, you know, postcard examples and all that. But I guess I'm wondering is, I don't want to waste money either.
Oh, for sure.
If we think that that's
I got a funny story for you, Rob. So
I don't know.
I think Ira's point there is he's saying it's really good. It's about being consistent. So if you do the work of sending out a postcard, send out a second one, so that you make it, you make it count. Make the effort that you put in count. So I was I'm no painter. Like, I'm not a painter, and I'm downstairs and we have a suite, and we had professionals paint it. They did an amazing job, and I'm in there and I'm trying to like touch up this tiny piece of wood, and I just feel like I've wrecked the whole place. And my wife comes downstairs, she looks at it, she laughs, she's like, maybe we can put some caulking over it. Like, it's not good. And so we go upstairs and I'm chatting to her and I'm like, oh, maybe we should hire a painter. Like, literally 5 minutes later, I hear a knock on the door. And I look at her, I was like, you expecting anyone? I'm not expecting anyone. It's COVID. Like, this is this week. So I'm thinking, who's there? So go outside, open the door, and there's a guy prospecting for painting.
Wow. I
was like, you have no idea. This is hilarious. I was just talking about you. And so anyway, now I got his number, and we're probably going to use him. So it's just the funny, like, you just never know when a person's at the right frame of mind, but the only way you can get there in front of the person in the right frame of mind is by actually being there. If he wasn't there, no one else, none of his competitors were there.
Rob, yeah, I think there could be some gold in these address onlys. They just weren't quite ready to give their name and phone number.
You don't know if it's the homeowner either when it's an address only. You don't know if it's a potential renter, a buyer.
So there again, do we spend the money to do postcards when we don't really know?
I think in your messaging, that's why you have to say, hey, oftentimes I find it's a renter and or buyer or somebody's just interested. Your house is in a desirable area, right? That type of language is, there's interest in your home. I have to talk to the homeowner to get that information to them. So if you are interested, here's how you get it.
Hey, Rob, I was sending those postcards to my Just Curious list. Okay.
People that you had a name for or
yeah, they've already opted in. They're just curious. Okay. Right. And also, I know it's a lot to say. I know it's people, nobody will, maybe you won't agree with me, but sometimes, you learn by, I don't want to say wasting your money, but sometimes
I've done plenty of that.
We've wasted our money, right? We've all wasted our money on real estate and advertising, things that don't work. But sometimes, it is an investment in your business. You have to spend the money. And then if you don't get an ROI, you don't get an ROI and you stop doing that thing and try something else. But you do still have to, try.
If I can just cut in here really quickly, I'm trying to get a word in. With the address only, I've actually had quite a lot of success, and I've used it. I do for the new ones, I do every single month for a 6-month period, like do mailers out. And then from there I do quarterly. And I've had so many people come back from the first week or month or 2 months that I was in StreetText, and I've been with them, I don't know, maybe 9 months now. And I know it's paying off. They're like, I said, how did you hear about me? And they show me this piece of paper that I sent out or a letter or whatever I started with. And I'm like, no way, it just blows me away that they kept it all this time. So all those stamps and envelopes and everything else that's going to cost you money, it is certainly worth it, because not only that, you're building your database, right? And your database is the hugest, most important part of being a realtor. And the larger your database, the more people are going to know about you and want to refer you out, right? So honestly,
and don't get me wrong, I'm okay with spending the money. I didn't mean to make that impression. It's just is that good money is what I was trying to get at, and it sounds like in your case it's worked. Now you're talking about primarily address onlys, or even the Just Curious.
The address onlys. I just do mail outs.
Address only. So absolutely. You go in and find go through the tax records and find the owner's name. So you have something to address it to?
We can't do that in Canada.
Oh, you can't do that?
Yeah.
And Rob, Rob, we do something a little different that's starting to gain some traction. Is first couple of months we were just sending out postcards with not great response. Since then, we've put them in envelopes that are hand addressed and gotten probably about a 25% return on it. Handwritten, stamped, people open it. So as opposed to just pulling out of the mailbox and chucking it in the wastebasket on the way into the house. So it's the same content, just in an envelope, and seems to be working out a lot better. And answer your question, yeah, we do go to the title company, pull the name on the address, send it out there so it's addressed to an individual.
Okay.
I'm just showing you Jennifer Salters. Can you guys see that?
Yeah.
So, let's go ahead and talk about that.
Sorry, Rob, you were just talking about that. See, address only was not my forte. And actually somebody had something similar. I don't know if it was Donna Swansea, but there was no QR code, and it kind of had this grid though that you see. So let me just tell you what I did with my address only. I tried this out, right? I stuck an emoji, right? And then what I do is by their house, this QR code, literally, if you hover over it, it brings them so that they can go to the form. It's the link from your ad that's on, on StreetText. And then it says below is a brief snapshot of current. And in that blank, I put like Magnolia Farms, Homes, whatever the neighborhood is. And then all I do is I take that neighborhood or the area, if they're not in a neighborhood, like a 1 mile radius, and I tell them the average sold prices, the high, low, average, the price per square foot, and the number of days on market. And then I stick it in the mail, and that way they're getting something, and it has some way for them to access it directly back on Facebook so that they can continue their ad that they were doing. I just started that last week, but see, I didn't want to pay the money either, Rob, for like the postcards. So this is just a piece of paper. I save this in Canva, and it takes me a minute per, address only. So in a week, if I get 10 to 15 address only, I'm putting that in an envelope. It's handwritten, has a stamp, and that way it's less money as well.
And you just started this, you said?
Just started it, but that way it's personalized. It has a picture of their house on it.
Okay. And the QR code, where do you guys have?
We addressed something on our custom ad class yesterday I thought was really interesting, with kind of the whole idea of say like Amazon, right? When you buy this, people who bought this also bought this, this, and this, right? So consider packaging offers together. They came in from a home valuation offer and they only felt comfortable enough leaving their address. Hitting them back with, hey, do you still want your valuation? You may not be tipping them over the edge. So consider what other offer you have that's in that same realm, something like a free local market report or the ability to update you when properties sell in your area. Offer something additional, right? So if you're paying to get to them again, offer them, yeah, you can finish off the home valuation, sure, but I could also do the following, right? So whether, again, would you like, along with a more robust CMA, I can also provide you a free local market report, and I could also set you up on a notification letting you know activity in your area. All I need is your email, right? If you text me your email, I can do all this for you right away. So that's just that further ability to get them to input that missing information, which you can then turn around and add them to further drips on, right? Yeah. But you've already got some of that information. They didn't give you the rest for that one offer. What else can you then offer that individual?
And maybe doing what Jennifer was talking about, and then the next month do a postcard, or a letter or a card in an envelope, or switching it up so they don't see the same thing all the time.
I don't know if any of you guys are in like BNI groups or anything, or have referral partners, but we have some people that we work with who actually send out our mailers for free. So every week when we have a team meeting, we have different lenders and things that we work with, different people, carpet people, handymen, all that kind of stuff. And they will go in and they will mail it for free if we kind of give them a little plug once in a while for certain things like going and doing air duct cleaning or referring them so many people per month to their business. So that's something you can do for free too if you guys don't already have any referral partners. That works for us.
Lisa, are you the one that's in Sandy County?
You're a local business yourself, right? You're a local small business who's also in turn supporting local small business. So there's definitely
All right, so let's show you what we got you. It's the 90-day plan. So we'll make sure that's in the chat feature right here. This is what you came for, as well as access to Jennifer Salter's course tomorrow, which will be a great one to come to at 11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, 2 p.m. Eastern. It will be recorded if you can't make it, but we'll drop that registration link here in the chat feature as well. And we'll get you this StreetText Success Checklist. We'll drop that in the insider group as well. Awesome. Any last minute questions, comments, wins that you'd like to share? Anything that you've learned so far? Feel free to.
Well, speaking of address only leads, I have one that I've been in contact with for about 6 months now. And it's about 700,000, 2 acres of property in Las Vegas. And I'm going tomorrow to sign the listing agreement. And that's going on the market in February. And that was an address only.
Woohoo!
Well done. Address only. I give you congratulations on my.
I just wanted to quickly ask, somebody touched on the fact I have a regular email address that I get all my emails on, but I notice when I'm running my ads, I get like 40 StreetText emails in a day, which I love to get, but I went and opened up a new email address under the same server. Can I start to have all those StreetText emails sent to that other email address? Is that where I change it in my profile?
No, that'll change your auto response to that email. But
that's
Debbie,
why I wanted to ask.
Yeah, we can go in and turn some of those messages off. So you're not getting all of the notifications. So like you get one when they submit the address, and then you get one when they submit the address and the name. But there is a way for us to go in and click some of those email notifications off, so you're not receiving as many for every lead coming in.
Okay, thank you.
All right.
I just wanted to share that how we, again, within the group, I kept hearing, go back to your database. I think it might've been Yankee who kept saying, touch your database again as much as possible. And I used HomeBot to send a report and within, I want to say 3 days, I've already had 2 homeowners who I've helped purchase in the past who now want to list their home. So I said, lesson learned, that I need to go back and keep reaching out to my database, because as I think Leon said, there's gold in there.
One piece of advice I have for every single time I help somebody buy or sell a home, I set a scheduled a reminder for 6 months. And then after I reached out after that 6-month period, it was a 1-year check-in every single year. And they just got used to hearing from me. And I had a lot of people who were like, oh yeah, it's funny that you mentioned that. We were actually thinking about selling our home. We were going to call you, right? But I mean, maybe they wouldn't have called me. Maybe it's been 3, 5, 6 years and they see somebody else's Facebook ad in that moment and I've lost them. So I always, every time I made a transaction, it was either a 3 or 6 month check-in. And then from there, it was either a 6 or 12 month check-in every single year, like clockwork. Every so often I'd send gifts and stuff to past clients, but that call, I think it's one of the most important things and something that's often overlooked, especially as you ramp up your business. You get more busy, you're generating new leads, you're finding new people all the time. It's easy to forget those past clients. Worst thing you can do, in my opinion. Those past clients are absolute gold. And even if they never transact with you again, it's just a nice feeling to check in and say hello. And it's a positive conversation most of the time. There's times where you open up a can of worms, you call somebody, a past seller 3 years ago, and now they're having problems with the home. It happens, right? But now it's another opportunity to help them. There's things that we can still help with, refer other services and things and just be helpful. And again, we're in that serving business, right?
Mastermind is over. Come to Jennifer Salter's course tomorrow. The webinar is going to be awesome. I'm really excited for it. And then anything that you'd like us to expand on for next week's Mastermind, let us know. We'll come ready to address that topic. Thanks again, guys.